right, welcome back. We're diving deep into Palworld's FeyBreak update today.
Oh, yeah.
And from what I've seen so far,
Huge.
it is a big one.
Yeah.
I know you all love those juicy patch notes and seeing what other players are doing.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got all of that, plus some early guides ready to break down.
Nice.
Get ready. It's going to be a wild one.
It's really something how Pocket Pair keeps dropping these huge updates.
I know, right?
Like, it hasn't been the easiest year for them.
Definitely not.
With everyone comparing it to Pokemon and then that whole lawsuit thing.
Yeah.
But they haven't slowed down one bit, just pushing to make the game better.
It really shows dedication.
For sure.
Okay, let's talk FeyBreak itself.
Yeah.
IGN's guide calls it huge EE.
It is.
Like 3 times bigger than Sakurajima,
Right.
with glowing sand and these FeyBreak warriors.
Mm-hmm.
Glowing sand, what is that, like a magical rave beach or something?
More like a magical headache, to be honest. The FeyBreak warriors have this no-fly zone set up over most of the island. Yeah, and they enforce it with these crazy missile batteries.
No way.
And it's not just the beaches, the whole island is diverse, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But good luck trying to fly around and see it all.
Wait, missile batteries. So I can't just cruise around with my Skyray.
Nope.
Wow, that's a big change.
Huge.
How are players even supposed to get around that?
Ground-based pals are gonna be your best friends.
Okay.
You know, those tough, tanky types that can handle some damage.
Gotcha.
But don't ditch your flyers entirely. IGN actually has a pretty neat trick. You fast travel to that scorched ashland point,
Okay.
and you can actually get to this plateau that kind of bypasses some of those early no-fly areas.
So it's like strategically leapfrogging over their defenses.
Exact.
Clever. So then you can use your flyers more tactically once you're past the batteries.
Exact.
Team comp is going to be so important right from the start.
Absolutely.
And speaking of team comp,
Right.
you mentioned the patch notes earlier.
Yeah.
Players figured out you can hack those missile turrets. Disable the no-fly zone in some spots.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't see that in the notes.
Yeah, me neither. How hard is that to pull off?
Seems doable, even for someone like me who's not super techie.
Uh-huh. Good to know.
And there's other options, too.
Oh. Like what?
Well, they added this new PAL, the Terrantris.
Cool.
It's basically a living grappling hook.
Wow.
Plus, some of the older PALs, like Azurmane, have air dashes for climbing.
So many options. Stealth hacking, parkour with your pals, or just good old-fashioned trekking.
You got it.
I love how much freedom they give players.
You too.
So FeyBreak also has some new resources, right? Chromite and hexalite quartz?
Right.
What are those all about?
Well, they're basically the key to a whole new tier of gear.
Ooh, juicy.
We're talking advanced tech, powerful weapons, even base upgrades that boost efficiency like crazy.
Sounds serious.
Oh, it is. This stuff will completely change the way you play.
I can't wait to get my hands on some.
Same here.
But where do you find them? Are they just lying around?
Chromite's a little tricky.
Uh-oh.
It's buried underground, so you'll need a metal detector.
Okay.
Or this new smoky PAL.
What's that?
It's basically like a bloodhound for ores.
That's amazing.
Right. Especially good for the dungeons.
The dungeons.
Yeah, they're apparently packed with loot this time around.
I saw people saying they're cracked.
Yeah, pretty much. Overflowing with treasure chests.
Nice.
We're talking tons of lotus flowers.
Those are important, right?
Extremely. For those high-level healing items.
Gotcha.
Plus, you have better chances of finding that chromite in there.
Sounds like I need to spend some time spelunking.
Definitely.
I might have a tendency to rush into battles unprepared.
Haha, I hear ya.
All right, enough about my questionable tactics.
Right.
What about the new pals themselves? IGN listed 24 new additions.
It's wild.
We've got Foxspark's Creased, Caperty Noct, Cryolink's Terra, even Xenolord.
So many good ones.
Like a whole new Pokedex.
But without the lawsuits. You know what I'm most excited about?
What's that?
The Predator Pals.
What are those?
They're these tough overworld encounters. They're not marked on the map, and they drop these rare crafting cores.
That's awesome.
Right, like stumbling across a ferocious beast guarding some hidden valley.
So it rewards exploration and punishes those of us who wander aimlessly.
Pretty much.
Sounds about right, huh?
So you saw players talking about those bounty NPCs.
Yeah, those human-like alpha pals that drop tokens, what's up with them?
Right, so you defeat those NPCs,
Yeah.
and then you trade their tokens with vigilante bounty officers in town.
Good.
They have all sorts of awesome rewards.
Like what?
You can get life fruit, which is usually super expensive.
Wow.
High-grade manuals for tech points, stuff like that.
Nice. A whole new way to get those rare items.
Exactly.
Okay, this is already a ton of new stuff, but knowing Palworld,
Mm-hmm.
it's got to be even more.
Oh, there's definitely more.
Like what?
Well, this update doesn't just add content. It throws in some serious game-changing mechanics. Yeah, and players are going crazy about one in particular.
Which one?
Hardcore mode.
Oh, yeah. I saw people talking about permadeath.
It's intense.
Is hardcore mode really as terrifying as it sounds?
Oh, it's terrifying. We're talking permadeath for you and your pals.
Bro.
One wrong move, and you're back to square one.
That's rough.
Your whole pal team gone.
Yikes.
It's a huge risk, but for those who love that intense challenge, those high stakes,
Yeah.
it's going to be legendary.
Hardcore is right.
Definitely not for the faint of heart.
But I bet it makes for some crazy stories.
Oh yeah, for those who survive to tell them.
That's true.
And on top of hardcore mode, we've got these new PAL expeditions
What are those?
and PAL labor research.
Okay.
It's all about taking your base and resource gathering to the next level.
I'm listening.
Okay, so with PAL expeditions, you send your pals out on these resource runs. You choose your team, choose the location,
Yeah.
and they come back, hopefully, with a ton of loot.
Sounds efficient.
Right. And then PAL labor research lets you research permanent upgrades for your base.
Right.
Nice passive bonuses, new buildings, all sorts of stuff.
Wow. That's next level base management.
It really is.
It's like turning your base into its own little economy.
Exactly. Adds a whole new layer of strategy to base building.
For sure.
You're not just building anymore.
Yeah.
You're managing a workforce, optimizing output, aiming for maximum efficiency.
I love it.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. We've covered so much already.
We have.
The island, the new towels, the resources, these game-changing mechanics. But the patch notes also mentioned a bunch of quality of life improvements.
They did.
And players have been wanting these for a while.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like Pocket Pair really delivered.
For sure.
Let's dive into those in part 2. It really does feel like Pocket Pair was listening to what players were saying
Yeah.
with this update.
So many little things that make it smoother.
You know what they say?
What's that?
It's little things.
Oh.
Speaking of little things, you can finally sit on chairs.
I know, right?
Hike. Finally.
I didn't even realize how much I wanted that.
Same here.
Until now, it just adds that extra bit of realism.
Right. It makes your base feel more lived in.
Definitely.
But it's not just chairs.
Nope.
We've got improved PAL AI and pathfinding.
Huge improvement.
No more pals getting stuck on every little rock.
We're just wandering off into the wilderness.
Exactly.
Like, what are you doing?
Right. We've got work to do.
Plus, they increased crafting and building XP games.
There you go.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
leveling up those skills feels way more rewarding.
Especially for the base builders out there.
Right.
I like that a lot.
And you know what else they added?
What's that?
This sphere critical thing.
Fear critical.
Yeah.
What's that?
So when you're trying to capture a pal and you aim for that weak spot with your capture sphere,
Yeah.
if you hit it just right,
Okay.
you trigger a sphere critical. Basically, it stuns them for a sec and boosts your capture rate.
So it's like a skill-based bonus.
Yeah, makes sense, right?
Definitely. A well-placed shot should be rewarded.
Exactly.
Before it felt kind of random, like it was all luck.
Yeah,
I like that they added this skill element to it.
it's way more satisfying.
What else did they change?
Well, remember how annoying it was to replace those foundation structures?
Oh, yeah.
Or the defensive walls?
Yeah.
You had to destroy them and rebuild from scratch.
Such a bane.
Right, now you can just swap them out directly.
Nice.
Saves a ton of time and resources.
Hallelujah.
I know, right? Base renovation just got way easier.
Definitely not complaining about that.
And speaking of base building, those walls, you can actually upgrade them now.
Really?
Yeah, no more flimsy wooden fences.
About time.
You can build some serious fortifications now.
Keep those critters out.
Right. And those rival players, too.
Exactly. I can't wait to see what people come up with.
And for those who loved the Japanese aesthetic from the Sakurajima update,
Oh, yeah.
they added new Japanese-style foundations.
Nice.
With sliding doors and everything.
Ooh, I'm going to have to redesign my whole base now.
Uh-huh. Same here.
What about the base level? Did they increase that?
Yeah, the max level is 30 now.
Wow.
Unlocks even more building options and upgrades.
That's awesome.
And there's a bunch of other little tweaks that just make the game smoother.
Like what?
Well, remember how your pals would sometimes teleport back to their pens?
Oh, don't remind me.
In the middle of building something?
Oh, so frustrating.
They fixed that,
Thank goodness.
and they made pal transportation more efficient.
Really?
When you're away from your base, so you're not constantly going back and forth.
Nice. They'll save so much time.
Right. They even tweaked the fishing system a bit.
Interesting.
Made it more engaging.
That's so many little improvements.
I know, it's great.
It really shows they're paying attention to player feedback,
Absolutely.
trying to make the game as good as it can be.
Yeah, they're doing a great job.
All right, we've covered the island, the new pals, the gameplay mechanics, all those quality of life changes.
We have.
But there's always more lurking beneath the surface.
Oh, yeah.
What hidden secrets did you find in the patch notes?
All right, this is where things get interesting.
Ooh, I'm intrigued.
People are talking about this doctor NPC.
Who's that?
Apparently, they can buff or debuff your pals.
What?
Yeah, and not just a little bit.
Seriously?
Like drastically.
So they can make my pals super powerful?
Potentially.
Or super weak?
That too.
Where do I find this doctor?
That's the mystery. The player who mentioned it didn't say.
Oh, come on.
So now everyone's trying to figure out where they are.
That's awesome.
Imagine stumbling upon this hidden character
Yeah.
who can boost your pal's stats.
I know, right?
Even upgrade their passive skills.
That's insane.
But there's a catch.
What's that?
They can also give your pals negative effects.
Oh,
It's a gamble.
you could end up crippling your best pal.
Exactly do you risk it for the potential power boost?
This is amazing. I love it.
I know, it adds a whole new layer to the game.
Right.
People are already combing through FeyBreak trying to trigger this encounter.
I bet they are.
Trying to find out how it all works.
And someone's already working on a guide
guaranteed.
with the exact location and everything.
Yeah.
This is why I love Palworld. Always full of surprises.
Absolutely. This update has added so much depth and replayability.
It's not just about the new content.
Nope.
It's about the new possibilities.
Exactly.
We've spent a lot of time talking about the good stuff, which, let's be real, is the best part of any update.
Yeah,
But no update is perfect.
that's true.
There are bound to be a few hiccups along the way.
Right.
So let's wrap up by taking a look at player reactions.
Okay.
The good, the bad, and then maybe needs a little tweaking.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we've dug into all the shiny new features and changes in the FeyBreak update. But what's the word on the street? How are players actually feeling about it all?
It's a pretty standard mix for an update this massive.
How so?
Lots of excitement, a few complaints sprinkled in, and of course, some healthy debate
Classic.
about what works, what could be tweaked, the drill.
Yeah, totally. So let's start with the positives.
Okay.
What are people loving about this update?
The no-fly zone is actually getting a lot of praise.
Really?
Yeah, players are saying it forces them to think differently.
I can see that.
You can't just rely on your flying towels anymore.
Right.
It makes you approach exploration and team composition more strategically.
It's like a new layer of challenge.
It is, but a good one for a lot of players.
Sometimes limitations can actually make a game more fun.
Absolutely.
Like now all those ground-based pals are getting their time to shine.
Right. Speaking of shining,
Yeah.
the new Predator pals are a massive hit.
Ooh, those tough overworld encounters.
Exactly.
Yeah, I bet.
People love the thrill of the hunt.
And the bragging rights that come with taking them down.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I can already picture the forum threads filled with victory screenshots.
Definitely.
What about the crafting and base upgrades? What are people saying about those?
Players are really digging the added depth and complexity.
So they're enjoying the challenge?
They are. They're experimenting with new builds, optimizing their resource chains, showing off their tricked out bases.
It's like they unlocked a whole new creative outlet.
Totally.
That's always the best, when an update sparks that kind of creativity.
Couldn't agree more.
And we can't forget about hardcore mode,
Right.
even if you're not brave enough to try it yourself.
It's the talk of the town.
Exactly.
It's like the ultimate test.
Of skill and patience.
For sure.
And even those who aren't playing it are loving the stories coming out of it.
Yeah. Those close calls, those heartbreaking defeats.
It adds a whole different level of intensity to the game.
It really does.
Okay, so we got the good stuff. The challenge, the new content, the creative freedom.
Yeah.
But no update is perfect.
Yeah.
There have to be some downsides, right?
Of course.
What are some of the concerns players have raised?
Well, performance is a big one.
Really?
Yeah, some players are experiencing some frame rate drops and lag,
Yeah, that's not good.
especially in those busy areas of FeyBreak.
I can see how that would happen.
This is a huge update, pushing systems to their limits.
Yeah, it's always a tough balance for developers,
Right.
pushing the boundaries while making sure everyone can play.
Exactly.
Hopefully Pocket Pair can smooth things out with some optimization patches.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
What else are people talking about?
There's also some talk about balance.
Balance.
Yeah, like whether some of the new pals are maybe a little overpowered.
Oh, interesting.
Especially some of those predator pals
Yeah.
and some of the new crafting recipes and weapons are raising some eyebrows.
It's tough to get the balance perfect right out of the gate.
Definitely, especially with this much new stuff.
I'm sure Pocket Pair is keeping an eye on things, though.
They've been really good about making adjustments based on player feedback.
Yeah, they seem committed to getting it right.
For sure.
So, where does this leave our listeners as they dive into FeyBreak?
It seems like this update is a complete game changer.
It does, right?
In good ways and maybe a few frustrating ways.
Yeah.
Be prepared to adapt, experiment, maybe even rage quit a few times before you master all the new challenges and mechanics.
Exactly. Embrace the chaos.
That's Palworld in a nutshell.
And remember, there are tons of resources out there to help you along the way.
Oh yeah, guides, maps, a whole community of players sharing tips and discoveries.
Don't be afraid to ask questions. Share your own experiences.
That's what it's all about.
It's all part of the fun.
Exactly.
Well, this has been quite the deep dive into the FeyBreak update.
It has.
And honestly, we've only scratched the surface.
There's so much more to explore.
So much to discover, so much to create.
I can't wait to see what people do with it.
Yeah. Me neither. So what will your FeyBreak story be? Will you conquer that no-fly zone? Become a master crafter? Embrace the hardcore life?
The possibilities are endless.
They really are. Whatever you choose, we want to hear about it.
Share your stories.
Until next time, happy Palworlding.